welcome to the Mise en Scene Weekly podcast, where we harken back to our college debate days and pick two movies of the same theme to grab a hockey stick and say, what the puck? When time traveling and can't extend a film's budget greater than half $100,000. This week's episode is focused on low-budget films, with Primer being placed into an RS Video VHS return case, and Clerks standing by to finalize your order. Come join Jonathan and Steven for another week of desirably less plot chatter and hopefully more film banter. We are Scene Weekly, and welcome to our world. That's it.
Fantastic. That was, we don't have to bleep anything out. It's great. It's PG so far.
It wasn't the 100K that messed me up every single time I read this. It was the RST Video VHS, the Video VHS return case. And I was like, I can't say this.
You did a good job. It's a little bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah. I don't know why I had written something completely different, and then I was like, why don't we make this a little more fun? So there we are. It's a little more fun.
Do you enjoy watching low budget, shoestring budget kind of films?
Love
it.
Thoroughly love it. My exact discussion that was starting with Primer after I watched Clerks and then went to Primer, I was like, I love low budget films because they're I shouldn't say this. They're generally going to be the ones that are like received very well are generally going to be very well constructed, from a sense that the dialogue, at least at minimum, is or idea is going to be super well founded. And I liken it to like a band coming out, like the Killers' first album, for example. They've been sitting on for a few years, or like a Group Love, or something, Third Eye Blind's first album. Like, it just crushes, and that's why the sophomore slump allegedly it exists. But Midnight Marauder for Tribe Called Quest kind of like blew that out of the water. But like in that time period, the mid 90s, like it's very prevalent that people had a sophomore slump. And I think primarily because you don't see the 20 years, whatever it might be, 20 years, 10 years of effort in like everyday grind that actually is producing that one creature, that baby. And it's like, what else you got? Oh, I got to do this again? What? Wait, that was all. That was everything I had for literally my life. Like, Kevin Smith, $27,000 to do this low budget film, Clerks, and $3,000 borrowed from his mom or his parents, and then he went into extreme credit card debt and basically sold all his comic books to make the movie. And then, luckily it paid off, but he went into the debt primarily because he's like, I'm in this. If the ship goes down, we're all going down together. But I long-winded way of saying, when you get into highly rated movies such as this with low budgets, it's generally going to have either a fantastic idea such as Primer, or it's just going to absolute crush with dialogue. And one aspect is going to be just so exceptional that I really do enjoy it thoroughly.
I 100% agree. And this is kind of like with the same kind of idea of what we talked about in the one-man show episode, where there's this constraint of having just one person in this film. The constraint here is the budget and the means and the resources, and what you can do with that, and how you can kind of create or tell a story. And like what you said, whether it's the dialogue, whether it's the actual idea of the film, that's what pays off, and that's what makes it great. So I'm the same boat with you. Like when you can find a good movie that has that ultra shoestring budget and they can pull it off, I mean, kudos to you, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of films that suck, like are terrible.
There's true,
but they originated from like terrible ideas, and so I think the Instagram message that you sent to me with backwards hat Kevin Smith always, and his blue, I don't know what to call that, but or whatever color it was, terrible looking. But he's like, yeah, you have an idea and a good idea, fucking rip it,
and a voice.
Yeah, just get out there, 100%, get after it, and put it on paper, and ultimately, hopefully, you film it and it becomes something. It has life of its own, which I could not agree with, couldn't agree with more. And ultimately, Kevin Smith and Clerks is Randall to some extent in his personality.
Yeah.
And he wrote the part for himself. That's why Randall has all of the good lines, basically, like literally.
Why
But
didn't
yeah,
he stick around for that? Why did he go the Silent Bob route?
um, I actually don't know. He just thought Randall would be a better distributor of knowledge about the Death Star, if you will,
That's
while I'm
true.
eating on a
Yeah.
podcast, eating some dark chocolate. I'm on a bit of a hiatus from eating, so
That
I'm
sounds
slimming.
dangerous. That's
I'm slim down to a nice 161 pounds. I think I started at, it was like 182
oh
a few months
wow.
ago. Um,
Yeah, I remember on the
got
cruise you were like
20
you
down.
ate a lot and you gained some weight
Mm,
and you've been slimming down ever since then.
that was February, and I was definitely 182 when I got back from that cruise for sure. But now
Wow.
it's all our top five. What we're gonna do later in the day. All of these things I haven't eaten in a while, so I'm a bit
Okay.
disappointed. So like creating this was like, fuck Steven for creating this idea, this stupid asshole. But my stomach was
That's why you were so
growling.
angry at the beginning. Yeah. Okay. I got it.
No, I was angry because I send you messages and you don't reply to them when I have ideas.
Yeah, sometimes, I am busy at work, but I will try and be better about that.
The idea ones are the only ones that affect me. I don't care if you don't
Yeah.
reply and it's unimportant, but I'm like, I have this idea. Speaking of the top five idea, and that went months without being noticed. But nonetheless, here we are. Clerks and Primer. Never seen Primer. This is, I think, the third movie that in the compilation of Mise en Scène Weekly that I've yet to see, which I'm pretty
Yeah,
excited. Maybe
Clerks
fourth.
was a first watch for me too. So I'm
Shut the
surprised.
fuck up.
What do you want me to do here, Jonathan?
Do you
Come
have?
on.
Are you wearing jeans as well,
No,
Mister
these are
Canada?
these are not jeans. This is
You got
khaki
the
kind of material.
Canadian tuxedo almost going on here.
No, I'm not wearing jeans on a jean jacket. No, we're not doing that.
I've never had a jean jacket. How does it feel on you? Is it like
It's more,
breathable?
it's not really. It's actually cotton. It just looks
Oh,
jeany.
so they're barbell jeans. You know the barbell brand, barbell jeans that like are fitting but like aren't really jeans but look like jeans.
Something like that. Yeah, I'm not a
Yeah.
fashion nova.
What do you think that says about your personality?
I mean, very smart, highly intellectual, can get out of tricky situations really fast.
So how do you get out of tricky situations really fast? Can you give some guidance to the people that can't, such as let's say myself?
Well, first of all, you got to get faux jean jacket shirts.
Let's
That's
assume that's the natural inclination. Is
yeah.
that like you get that and ultimately it's like the
It,
Matrix? You just
it,
download how to
it's
get
kind.
out of situations fast?
No, it's kind of like if you stay at a Holiday Inn Express the night before, you can get out get out of those situations. If you've ever seen those commercials,
I haven't seen them. What are they about?
you want me to explain a commercial from 20 years ago? Uh, I'll send
No,
them to you.
I would love for you to do that for me, please and thank you. Yeah, I've never had a jean jacket, but I would like to get out of situations fast, I guess. But I would say I act pretty fast nonetheless without jean jackets.
Well, that's
But
good.
low budget films, Kevin Smith, who would be your character?
My character, huh? I've been a number of these characters through my life. I feel like. Um,
Aren't we all, including the 37 dicks for you?
that's, I don't know about that.
Oh,
That's kind of
36. 37.
36. Um,
That was the moment, by the way, where in a row that it was being pitched to Weinstein, I believe. It was being pitched, and the person, the I don't know who the agent or whoever you want to call them, was reading the script, and got to that point in a row and was laughing so hard. They're like, this has to get greenlit, and like literally like slammed open, I think Harvey Weinstein's door and was like, check this out. And then
we're doing it.
immediately they're doing it live, which
That's
I
fantastic.
found interesting.
Sometimes I feel like the guidance counselor checking the eggs, sitting in the aisle. Like that's what I've been feeling like lately. um, but um, more so, I guess, like overall, Dante. Just getting called into work all the time on your days off, and
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
waking up in a closet.
I shouldn't be here today. Yeah, yeah. That's an interesting one. I mean, that's the very beginning of the movie, which I find. I mean, I love the movie across the board, but like waking up in a closet, I've never done before. Have you? Have you woken?
Uh,
I know friends that have woken up in bathtubs.
yeah, I don't think no, never a closet, but I do understand like the idea behind it. Like it's dark. There's
Comforting.
comforting. There
It's
could be
tight.
clothes on the bottom, maybe some shoes, but that could be a little bit of a gambit. But yeah, just comforting, dark, silent. Um, but yeah, I've never done that. Maybe one day.
You can title your autobiography when you sleep in closets, the Queen's Gambit, which has many euphemisms.
I love it.
So anyway,
Have you ever woken up in a closet? Did you say no?
no, never. I
Okay.
generally across. I don't like. I'm not that guy that sleeps on couches ever. Not. I just don't. I don't know. If you're gonna sleep, if you're getting tired, go to a damn bed. I don't understand that. I don't know. My wife will sleep on the couch in the midst of movies. My in-laws will like just sleep on the couch. But like brother-in-law was here this past week for 4 days straight. Just sleeps on the couch.
I had a
Like we
friend
have the
crash on my couch
we have
for
the
3 months in Austin, Texas.
yeah,
Like
and
that
you were
was
probably in your 20s.
yeah, it was yeah.
Yeah, he's 40 and he's
He's
sleeping
not
on the
doing that
couch.
anymore. He's not
But
doing that anymore.
he's doing it on purpose. He's like, I like the couches. I'm like, what? They have
Interesting.
things called beds. You can still upgrade. Like it's not even that much of an upgrade because there's a literal room upstairs you could use instead of sleeping on shoes. But anyway, we don't have shoes on our couch. Nonetheless, I digress. I watercress.
Clerks.
Yeah,
That opening
big fan.
scene. That opening scene where the guys are trying to buy cigarettes,
Yeah,
and there's a guy there that just wants to drink his coffee.
yeah,
Um, but he's also he's got a TED talk basically
yeah.
to
This
these
the whole
people.
movie's a TED Talk.
Oh, yeah, the whole movie is a TED talk.
The
But
diatribe of TED Talks.
it's basically these little vignettes of a film. But I love that first opening scene where he pulls out the fake lung that's been smoking for 20 years or
Yeah,
whatever, and just convinces these people not to buy cigarettes, and they throw
yeah,
cigarettes at Dante.
yeah,
And then you find out the punchline, the joke is like he's trying to get these guys to buy this gum instead, and
yeah.
he's a gum sales rep. Like
That's right.
you get a great like little introduction to what this film is and what we're going to be. It's a day in the life. This
Yeah,
is a 24-hour film, right? Day in life. And that's the idea behind Kevin Smith. Like he saw the movie Slackers,
yeah.
and that's what got
1990,
that's
Linklater.
what yeah, he's like, this is filmed in Austin, Texas. This is an indie film. Like, I could do this. Like,
Yeah,
what are we talking about here? So, and he's like, there's never been a movie about a convenience store clerk. We'll
yeah.
make that.
Yeah, and
Brilliant
he
stuff.
had lots of chats, and they're all his friends who are the actors who have gone on to play multiple roles for him. Uh, Pretty much all his movies, all the Clerks especially. But it's interesting. Like he actually worked at that convenience store, and he had to shoot at nighttime, and the plot actually covered for the like because it was shot at nighttime, so therefore like the shades were drawn, but it was supposed to be displayed, during the day where people are coming and going. Um, but I found it interesting. Like they basically had no sleep throughout the entirety of the shooting. I think it was 28 days, 27 days, something like that. That they made this film,
Just
but
all shot at night when the store was
all
closed.
shot
It's
at night.
amazing.
When yeah, it's pretty cool. But the video store, I don't know. The last time I read this was like 10 years ago, and I've seen all of Kevin Smith's. I don't know what to call them.
Works.
They're their works, but they're his. I call them. I really think of it as stand up, honestly, because if you've seen them, you laugh so hysterically, like it was a pre planned script, and he's done this a lot. Where I think they're all on Netflix, or at least they were about 10 years ago. But he's infatuated with the convenience store and the idea of kind of like taking the collection of what a lot of people do, the collection of ideas and thoughts that you and your friends have from time to time in a 10-year period, say, and just boils it down and institutes it into formulates it into a movie, really. And he himself would be Randall. I think I'm Randall. I like probably not as intelligent as Randall, to be honest with you, but like I like the conversation, and I often have conversations that are just so asinine, but also like the Death Star, the Death Star, and the contractors. It's
Who thinks
just
of that? I mean, it's yeah.
it's just so absurd. But I like those. It's a lot of high comments throughout, if you will. You go from and to go back to your original point of smoking, he's very anti-smoking. Um, Kevin Smith,
Kevin Smith is, yeah.
what was during this time, and so that's why he was putting this in there, which is interesting because Jay Muse, his best friend in real life, and just had to be in there. Very nervous on set, didn't know how to act, but did an exceptional job, and especially in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Jesus Christ. But he didn't smoke either. But in the one scene where he was smoking or pretending to smoke, he wasn't actually like inhaling or anything. Soon after that, he started smoking like 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Yeah, I don't know why. It's like I'm never going to be a smoker, and then I just have one, and it's like, oh, I'm going to smoke 2 packs. It's like Jesus Christ.
All or nothing, man.
But I love the I love everything about this movie. The black and white. It was shot in black and white to save money for lighting and things of that nature. But anyway, Clerks. I guess I'll go first. Runtime 91 minutes. Director's Kevin Smith. He's continued to make Clerks 1, 2, and 3. 1994, as I said before, the budget was $27,000, made 4.4 in the box office. Rated R comedy, clearly, and Rotten Tomatoes of 90%. IMDb can go fuck itself. From here on out. But the synopsis is this, and I won't say their names, but Dante is called in to cover a shift at his New Jersey convenience store on his day off, which is a commonality between you, this guy, and old Dante. His friend Randall helps him pass the time, neglecting his video store customers next door to hang out at the Quick Stop. The uneventful day is disrupted by news that one of Dante's ex-girlfriend has died. After attending her memorial service, Dante muses over staying with current girlfriend Veronica or reuniting with ex Caitlin. And boy, does that leave out a substantive amount of stuff, but of course it is the movie, and it's in essence a breakdown or a synopsis. But
Yeah,
what
I
were
mean,
your
I think
thoughts? I cannot believe you haven't seen this. Even in film school, you didn't see this?
no, it's interesting. I never the first Kevin Smith movie that I actually watched was a long time ago was Dogma,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I didn't really get into it, so I just kind of brushed off.
What?
It wasn't. It didn't hit me the way that Clerks hits me now at this time of my life. Um,
Religion. You were still holding on to the Christianity
I don't
inside
know.
of you?
I don't know what it was. But anyways, I um I didn't really get on the Kevin Smith bandwagon ever.
Mm,
So I just kind
wow.
of put him off. And hey, Kevin Smith, if you're watching this, man, my apologies. Clerks was brilliant, and I'm
Yeah.
very, very, very upset at myself and kicking myself for not catching this and not really enjoying what you've got to say and what you're putting out because this was very enjoyable. The writing was top notch. Um, this is kind of like I said, it's a day in the life. It's kind of like a 90s version of Waiting for Godot, where there's not really anything going on, but these guys are talking about
Waiting
existential
for
things.
Godot? I don't know what that is. Waiting for Guffman?
No, no, it's a play. Anyways,
Oh, I don't know what that is. Not anyway.
it, it's basically a play where two guys are sitting at a tree and
Yeah.
waiting for this guy named Godot, and they're passing time talking about their life, and nothing happens really in the play, and
Oh, wow. Yeah.
it's theater of the absurd, and this is kind of movie of the absurd of like a day in the life of these
You
guys that
hear
are
that,
running
Kevin?
a convenience store. I mean, absurd things happen. This guy, goes into a bathroom with a nudie mag, and I'm not going to spoil what goes on after that. But
You should spoil that for sure, because he goes in there and he's going to be jerking off, and then the girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, future ex-girlfriend comes by and has sex with Dante, who ultimately, what happens, Steven?
well, she thinks it's Dante in the bathroom,
Well, yeah,
um,
yeah, in a
but
dark
it's
room because the
and
lights are out.
yeah, they don't pay the electrician enough. But anyways, yeah, he's
She rapes him, a dead man.
a dead man. She's got some trauma to unpack there, but that kind of happens near the end of the movie. I mean, we could go and pick any part of this film and the absurdities of it. Um, but it's also kind of like how people talk in everyday life in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's scripted, but like the whole
Yeah, yeah.
Death Star, Star Wars kind of thing. Like people talk about pop culture and have these kind of random thoughts, and it's nice to sit back and kind of watch these people talk. Um,
It's
and
fun.
it's fun. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It reminds me of real life. In terms of picking, like the pieces here and the pieces there, it's interesting of social media. You ever seen someone to pick their nose on social media, like Instagram? They're just like picking the nose.
No,
You always
that's
see like the you
I
always see
would
the
I would swipe away. Real, it's not something enjoyable that I would want to watch. I don't like seeing like people popping zits or
yeah. I don't like
like
that either. Yeah, it's not for
it's
me.
it's not for me, man.
No, but
No.
like you never see any. You always see social media platforms displaying the best in people's lives. You don't see them picking their butt.
Oh, I
Or
see.
the
Yes.
like I'm
Yeah.
having a very very difficult time in my life. My wife is just having a meltdown. Her family has bipolar, or her mother has bipolar, and we're just having a really tough time. Like I guess maybe you actually see that from time to time, but
Sorry to hear
there's no
that.
picking the gnomes. Not really. This is
Oh,
the person who's out
hypothetical.
there somewhere out there
No, it's a
somewhere.
curated version of your life. You're curating
But I'm
your the
curious. It's a curated way in focusing on the positive, but I would be very curious to see what Dante's social media, if it existed in 1994, looked like. Like Dante's Instagram, like
it would
here I
be
am again,
here I am. It'd be like a
stalking the Three Musketeers.
there's my hockey stick sitting unused because it
Yeah,
can't
sit,
play today.
sitting on the corner, the opposite of my trajectory of life.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Hashtag loser. Anyway,
he's stuck in a rut. But he's got his friend Randall, and Randall is the type of guy that he'll show up to work, but he's not going to work. He's going
he
to do
doesn't
the
want to
exact
work.
doesn't want to
Yeah,
work. Doesn't want to help the customer.
no, I mean, he thinks the customer is the worst. That's the worst part of the job. He literally has said that this would be an amazing job if the customer didn't exist or come in, which
Now
is
we have Netflix and we don't have video stores. So
yeah, yeah.
congratulations.
Well, you've worked yourself out of a job, Randall. So there's that, Mr. Graves. Um, one just a random quote that came to my mind where Randall was talking about how about a dead guy. It's like my mom's been fucking a dead guy for years. I call him dad. Like Jesus Christ, man,
Yeah, I remember that.
that's
That was
brutal.
great. That's brutal.
But he
That's
has the
brutal.
best lines of anyone in the movie, I think. But the interesting thing about this in your early 20s, I think you're often, well, if you've had a good life in the sense of like you've had a better upbringing, like you're often in a job where you're like, is this really it? Is this really like what I want to do for the rest of my life, or even for the next 10 years, 5 years, and like where does this actually take me? And that's Dante. And I think he's that maximizer. I don't know if you've heard that term, but like you have like a romanticizer, somebody who's like waiting for love to happen to them, probably you to some extent, and then the maximizer who like will pour over every detail in the history of life before they make a decision, and then somebody who I would say is just me, who's just like what the fuck ever, like I know my options, I'll just choose something, and if it may not be the perfect one, but whatever. Which also I guess gets you in some sort of trouble as well. But like we're all in that situation where you're like finagling your way throughout life, like Dante, and wondering if this is it. Like, God damn it, am I going to be at this convenience store? And in essence, he's also a maximizer. He's trying to like go through his different girlfriend options. Where Jay at the very end, or I should say, Silent Bob at the very end, actually opens up and is like, not every girl brings you lasagna at work. They normally cheat on you.
That's my quote. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's often that moment of you have these options, which dismally, regrettably to you 20-year-olds out there, they just go downhill as the years go on, unless you're doing something right and you make more money over the years and people are
Yeah.
there for the money. But I think
Yeah.
you
These.
always are going to have this, like, is this the right person for me? I have this other option here. Grass is greener. And I think
Right.
it's the dichotomy of the situation, which I think we've all been through to some extent, questioning our own existence and decision making process. That's
Yeah.
what this
Yeah.
movie really is.
And these guys are 22. Like they're not hitting their midlife crisis yet,
No.
but they see that there's a path where they can slip into this, and it'll 10 years will go by, and they're going to be closer to that point.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's where they this kind of internal dread comes from, of like, what are we doing with our lives? Like, what am I going to be stuck behind this counter selling cigarettes to a 4-year-old? Or shouldn't do that, by the way.
it's so funny. Like I didn't rewind it, but in that moment when he was getting fined, when Dante was getting fined for that, I was like, was that actually on screen? The act of that, was that on screen? Because I was like, I don't remember this.
It's weird because I kind of had like a moment where I remember the 4-year-old girl, but I kind of tuned out, and I didn't rewind it either. But Randall, I guess, sold her the pack.
That I know, I understand all of that, but like
Yeah.
I was like,
Did
I
it
don't
happen on
remember.
screen?
I was like, I don't remember the 4-year-old walking in and getting cigarettes. Like she would be like super short. Like I just I was like, I don't remember this, and I was like, am I going crazy? But
Maybe,
anyway,
maybe a little bit. Uh,
I think I am going crazy, but nonetheless,
uh, yeah, there's that existential dread that they have to choose from, and he does have options. Like the old girlfriend came back. He thought she was going to, be getting married. Who posts in the paper when somebody gets engaged? Is that a thing?
yeah, it is a
It
thing.
is. Were you
Yeah,
in the paper? Were you in the local
no,
paper when you got engaged?
no,
In the Manhattan, the New York Times?
no, no.
Also, another
Loser
question.
one. Going to marry next year and Dumbledore 2. It's just like, no, nobody gave two shits about us, and
Um,
still don't.
in your previous relationships, um, did you ever
I've only had
discuss?
eyes for one.
I I see that, but did you ever discuss? Did you ever discuss body count?
No, never.
That's a slippery slope when you start talking about that.
Well, actually, I've never brought it up. I frankly I don't care at all, even remotely. If somebody said like 500, like I just whatever. But like, well, I guess 500 would be a high level
I
of
would say let's get you
bodies.
tested real quick.
But I did have an ex girlfriend, the one I've previously discussed, who was not the nicest human being in the world, but was very uh wanted to know everything. I'm like, why?
Why? Yeah,
Why? What does this matter? Who cares?
yeah.
Good person, am I? Maybe. I don't
It
know.
just becomes an argument, and it becomes very sensitive to the other person. So it's like,
And then
why
like
bring
once
it
you
up?
open your mouth, that can is not getting. You can't solder it shut, and if you can, it's like festering inside.
That's why
It's
we
like,
heard about the
oh, we got
37.
botulism in a can here. Who
We heard
wants
about
some on aisle 5?
we
Clean
heard
up
about
on aisle 5.
it was a running joke about the 37 dicks throughout, because once you bring it up, it's not going to be it's
Yeah,
the cat's out of the bag.
dude, and everyone knows about the 37 dicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like that's very good timing, by the way, in the 37 dicks, and that girl that seems to be a meme everywhere about. I don't want to even to. Yeah.
National treasure right there.
Yeah, boy, that took off, and I
I
don't
see it
know.
everywhere. I've
She's
been seeing
hitting,
it everywhere.
yeah, she's hitting the meme streets pretty hard these days. But I would say that may transfer a lifetime for her.
She's
Interesting.
she's been hard to find, or nobody can find who this person is. Like there's internet sleuths trying to uncover who
Oh,
she
they're gonna
is.
find it. I mean, there's who's that guy that like you give him one snapshot and like, hey, like JetBlue number 835. He did like a 10-minute breakdown of like, oh, like he tagged the guy. And he's like, hey, find out what plane I'm in. And within 10 minutes, he did some crazy sleuthing. And he's like, oh, this is where this exactly was taken, and this is your plane, and this is the date, and this is exactly where you were. I feel like somebody could easily do that. Like the Oilers woman that flashed the crowd at the hockey game
Oh yeah, I didn't see that.
recently. Yeah, she like flashed the crowd, and then like they were looking for her, and she was found. But I think she was found because she wanted to be. I would imagine this creature is going to be found as well, and
Probably.
hopefully her family.
That's why I think she's hiding. Um,
Boy, mm,
because they get these interviews, they're doing it in I think that was in Nashville, and they find these people that are already a little bit tipsy and drunk on the street, and they get them to interview. Sometimes you get some great content out of it. Apparently, there you do.
we should start doing this.
Just go up to random people on
What
the
are your
street.
thoughts on Monster? What about that one scene? I don't know. Be
Oh, we could do
useful.
that. Yeah,
You know, there was one quote actually I'm thinking of getting away from this woman, which is going to dovetail nicely into talking about my wife. But the Dante was talking about to Randall, like, you hate people. He's like, but I love gatherings. Isn't it ironic? And I was like, that sounds exactly like my wife, like to a T. She hates people. Well, she actually technically hates gatherings too, but there was a time where she enjoyed concerts. Not so much anymore, but I was like, you like that personality is a combination. That Randall personality is a combination of like Kevin Smith in real life and like a curmudgeon, introverted human being, which I know intimately well. Of
very intimately.
yeah, hating people and enjoying gatherings, or
Do
used to.
you do you do you fall into that group? Hate people, enjoy gatherings? Where are you at on that?
I love both
Yeah.
people and gatherings. I would say less so gatherings now, depending
Yeah,
on the
it's
nature of it.
weird. I've become a little bit less of the gatherings type too.
I think it's like to me. I remember like when all the mass shootings started to become so prevalent. Like in one happened in the mall in New Jersey where I used to go,
What
not
happened at
frequently,
the
but
EDM concert in Vegas?
and then I was that those moments are like pretty much the point at which I was like, I don't really like gatherings anymore. And if I'm actually going to a gathering, why am I calling it a gathering? I guess you just used the word gathering. Going to a concert, for example, or I'm like scoping out like a very badly trained Navy SEAL how the fuck to get out of there. Like, where's the exit? You know?
Yeah, I get you. I
And
got
like
it.
when I'm picking seats in a movie theater, I'm picking the right seats, like exit row. Like we're running for the
I'm checking
fences.
this. Like, how good is the security? Like when I walk through, like what are we? What is there like metal detectors? What are we doing
Yeah,
here?
yeah. No, I don't mess around. But
We live in America. That's what happens. It's the
you
price
know,
you pay for freedom.
something that you and I have in common. Actually,
Do tell.
we both eat Chinese.
We speak Chinese.
Dick. We both eat Chinese.
Is that a
Exactly.
is that a quote in the movie?
Yeah, I was trying to lead you into it, but
I missed that one. I mean,
evidently
I
I
remember it
can't
now, but
evidently I can't pronounce. But yeah, anyway, the totality of this movie is just a dialogue heavy, entirely focused on dialogue. I love the fact that he used all his friends, and I think this movie quintessentially proves that you don't actually have to be that great of an actor if you have an outstanding script. like like it's so crazy. If you were to like break these individuals down, because most of them haven't been in pretty much anything else other than Kevin Smith movies, if you were to break it down in like performance, like, and you'll see in my score itself, it's like it's not great performance, but that script helps immensely to make it seem like a really legitimately good movie, like a good performance, I should say. That script is
it,
just like it crushed.
It's it's the reason the characters are so well defined in this film, as opposed to the film that we'll talk about later. Like this is you get clear definitions of who these people are and these characters and what
Yeah.
drives them and what motivates them. Yeah, the performance or the acting, I would say, it's not the best, um,
No. No.
but the lines that are being delivered and the way that it's delivered, I think holds up. And it's like
Yeah.
this time capsule of what like
Yeah.
early to mid 90s
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool seeing that because you can't really recreate that. Like that's 90s, like it's great.
They
And also I liked like the way that he filmed it was a lot of the camera didn't move very much. It was basically you set the camera here, we got a scene, we got a shot. We'll maybe set it here, we got a scene, we got a shot. There was very few like handheld or moving cameras because obviously it costs more, but they were just single shot kind of setups, which was great.
it was easy, and inside of a convenience store you can't really move around too much, and with characters especially coming in and out, but it made a lot of sense. They wanted to make
Yeah.
it seem like it was shot from the security cameras of the convenience store.
Ah.
Yeah, so that's another reason it was black and white. I think that's probably something that Kevin Smith added a little flavor to the backstory, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't shot like down on you, but that would make sense to some extent. I did like which I never even noticed. There's 9 breaks in the movie, which is a replication of, because Dante, it's supposed
Yeah.
to be Dante's Inferno.
I was wondering about that.
So
Yeah.
there's 9 breaks, so it's like the 9 rings of hell. Um,
Oh boy, does he go through the ringer.
the rings of hell. But
Yeah.
I liked I guess I liked most things about the movie. The performance was interesting to me. It's their first time acting, but they really did well. But like the whole scene, which I almost think could be removed entirely, is the funeral scene where you didn't get to see anything, and it's just like, what
Yeah.
happened? He had to get out. They got out. They're there for like 36 seconds. The coffin goes over, and they're back, and then it's like it's almost like something that should have just been removed. Like, what is this doing here? I don't know what this is. It's a dangling modifier in film.
Yeah, it was something that they didn't have it in the budget to actually film the actual, person falling out of the coffin, so they just kind of alluded to it. But yeah, it just didn't. It was just another thing where they had to another set piece where they could like get away from the convenience store, I guess. But I don't
Yeah.
know. Apparently, there's a comic book version of what actually happened in the
Ah, I see.
yeah, because Kevin Smith, is a big comic book guy. And another thing that I really found interesting about Kevin Smith is when he got the idea of making this film, and he's like, I'm gonna make this film, and he actually went to film school for a little
Yeah.
while, but he dropped out
With
because
Jason.
one, he wanted to save the money for the film that he was going to make, and two, he's like, I got it, I know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, I got the
Yeah.
information. I mean, that says a lot about who he is and like the determination of what he had to do. So it was amazing.
He tells a better story on the fly than any human being I know. Full stop. Hands down. Like he did I want to say 3 rounds of Netflix Q&As. And before the Q&A, he basically was I don't know what to call it. I mean, it's just like his discussion with like an audience, and people ask questions, and people will ask him a question, and he'll go on for like 18 minutes of
Oh
like
wow.
answering the question, but it's like so well formulated. It's like he knew the questions in advance, and they're like detailed questions. He must obsessively think about these things in advance and like just figure out exactly like the plot line of a story, of being able to tell that story like in the hook. Uh,
Yeah,
and he watch all of them. They're
I'm gonna check it out. Yeah.
unbelievable because you get the backstory of like who these people are, the characters, and who Jason is, basically Jason Mewes, who's Jay, and just the ideas he has. Like, and he talks about his family, he talks about his wife as well, and like the first, I remember one of the funniest things that I love Kevin Smith like dearly, and so I can't. I think the first thing I actually saw was Dogma as well, and then I went to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and then Clerks. And the story he talks about in that one of those Netflix things, I hope it's still on Netflix because I kind of want to rewatch all of these again. But he was talking about how his wife got presented with Playboy, and she was like, like, should I do this? He's like, fuck yeah, like, like a proud husband, like hell yeah, like let's fucking do this. Yeah, of course we're gonna do this. Like wanted her to be comfortable, and then he was even more excited. He literally, I don't want to ruin the story. He tells it way better than I can, of course, just as he can do with everything. But like the way he tells the story of when he got it in the mail, like the episode,
The actual
the
issue.
issue in the mail. He was like, I can't wait to beat off to this. But it was like so genuine. And that's what I really like about Kevin. I don't know, I'm calling him by his first name, but
Mr.
that's what
Smith.
I really, I really like that about Kevin. He's just a seemingly genuine, nice guy, and I think I would just be like best friends with him. To be fair,
He's
like
like in every he's an
yeah,
everyman. He's definitely outside the system, marches to his
yeah,
own beat. And he's like surprisingly long career in Hollywood, with
yeah.
Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Jay and Silent Bob. There's been some flubs in there, but more hits than misses, I feel like, for sure.
Yeah, he's got flubs, but he just did the flubs like knowing he just wanted to do what he wanted to do, which is
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. I think going back to the movie, like the timing of the movie is excellent. I think just in the moments of dialogue and the pauses between the two people arguing, because it's generally always two people discussing things. I just love the it's not just like it's almost at some points you think like I'm going to talk, you take a turn, but it's the interaction of like Randall's interaction in particular is kind of monotone in his voice, but the way it melds between him and Dante is just I don't know of another character set that's this good in terms of dialogue. It's really excellent.
Would you like to play
Um,
a clip of them talking?
I would love to. We can actually
Okay.
probably end it with that. At least in my, I have a couple more things, but
Yeah, I have
this
one more
is.
thing
Let
as
me.
well.
No, 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 no. Let me. I gotta frame this for you.
Sure.
So this is my favorite. And if I were to, I haven't done this, but if I were to, I was thinking about this on a run yesterday. I was like, if I were to actually think about it first of all, and then write down my top 10 like favorite quotes from movies ever, full stop. This would definitely be a top 10 quote. And the entirety is going to be fairly lengthy. It's like 2 full minutes. But if I were to do a top five, this also may well be a top five. This may even be number one.
Oh,
But
wow.
I'm qualifying it just to be clear, because to me, in essence, it hits at pretty much everything I believe in, like truthfully believe in terms of humanity and like what my mom taught me of like picking yourself up by your bootstraps. And there's certainly things in life that are going to impede that depending on the nature of how you've been brought up and like what life events have happened to you. But with that said, overwhelmingly, it's going to ring true. And this is also something that I repeat in different ways to people. Like, oh yeah, shit happens, but like your job in life, just as in relationships, and your job in life is in your work, such as a convenience store, is to reframe it. And like Nietzsche said, what is it, like if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. I don't necessarily believe in that, because what if you lose a leg? And like the extremity, like the extreme nature of the quote to me, but it's not lost on me what in the essence of it actually is. But with that said, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Whatever happens to you in a negative capacity, don't focus on it too much. Go into life. If you want to change it, fucking change it. You alone are responsible for your destiny. You alone are responsible for your excitement in life. You're alone responsible for any change in your own happiness. And people think that happiness comes to them. Happiness does not come to you. You make happiness. Like, and I'm saying this from my own perspective, and I'm not telling myself right now, but like you make happiness. If you want to be happy, you be happy. You do the things that make you happy. But anyway, this to a T is getting fired up.
I
is
love it. It's like you should be an inspirational speaker here. I'm at your TED Talk right now. It's great.
it's quintessentially one of my favorite quotes of all time and something I firmly believe in. But here we go.
Cool.
Oh, what? What's with you, man? You haven't said anything for like 20 minutes. What the hell's your problem?
This life.
This life?
Why do I have this life?
Have some chips, you'll feel better.
I'm stuck in this pit, working for less than slave wages, working on my day off. The goddamn steel shutters are closed. I deal with every backward-ass fuck on the planet. I smell like shoe polish. My ex-girlfriend is catatonic after fucking a dead guy, and my present girlfriend has sucked 36 dicks.
37.
My life's in the shitter right now, and if you don't mind, I'd like to stew a bit.
You open?
Yeah. Nah, that's all bullshit, man. You know what the real problem here is?
I was born.
You should shit or get off the pot.
I should shit or get off the pot.
Yeah, you should shit or get off the pot.
What the hell are you talking about?
I'm talking about this thing you have, this inability to improve your station in life.
Fuck you.
It's true, man. You sit there and blame life for dealing you a cruddy hand, never once accepting the responsibility for the way your situation is.
What responsibility?
Alright, if you hate this job and the people and the fact that you have to come in on your day off, then why don't you quit?
Oh, like it's that easy.
It is. You just up and quit. There's other jobs. They pay better money. You're bound to be qualified for at least one of them. So what's stopping you?
Leave me alone.
Oh, you're comfortable, right? This is a life of convenience for you, and any attempt to change it would shatter the pathetic microcosm you've fashioned for yourself.
Like your life's any better.
Hey, I'm satisfied with my situation for now. You don't hear me complaining. You, on the other hand, have been bitching all day.
Thank you. Why don't you go back to the video store,
It's
huh?
the same thing with Veronica.
Oh, now leave her out of
You
this.
date Veronica because it's convenient and she's low maintenance. But meanwhile, all you ever do is talk about Caitlin. You carry a torch for a girl you dated in high school. In high school, for God's sakes. You're 22.
Leave me alone.
If you want Caitlin, then talk to Veronica and be with Caitlin. If you want Veronica, then be with Veronica. But don't pine for one and fuck the other. Man, if you weren't such a fucking coward.
Oh, if I wasn't such a fucking coward. You know, it must be so great to have this ability to simplify things the way you do.
Am I right or what?
He's right.
He's right.
Yeah.
He's right. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Kevin Smith, this is his thesis right here of what the film is about, right? And this is what he did. He was like, I'm gonna make a fucking movie.
Yeah.
And I don't care if I have to max out all my credit cards and scrape together and sell my comic book collection, which he bought back, by the way, afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, why can't I do that? And
Yeah.
that comes through so much in this speech, and it's so true. And it's like this great moment.
Have you ever had a snowball?
Oh, that was the first time I've ever heard that. And no, the answer to that question is no. And I don't want to even explain what it. You can watch the movie if you want to know what a snowball is, Jonathan.
Or Google it, I guess, if you're of age.
Urban Dictionary will have that for you. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I just want to end. I love this movie in so many different ways. I'm glad it's actually shot in black and white. I'm glad it's like for all the reasons that it looks cheap or cheaply made, and it just makes the allure of it rubs off very well. But like Clerks 2, I've seen, it's not the same. It's that sophomore slump. If it's still good, you can feel the essence and the pulse of the dialogue is coming from Kevin, but like that he hit a home run with this. It's the Killers' first album. What is it called? I don't know why it's escaping me for the second time saying this, but like that June 6th, 2003 it came out, and I can't even remember the
You know the date, you don't know the name of the album. That's great.
know the name of the album.
I will say that what a time to be in Kevin Smith's inner circle around 1993 and being
Hot
like
Fuzz.
being friends with him. It's like him and Adam
Wild.
Sandler. Like they just bring their friends along for the ride. They're like, "Hey, you want to be in my movie? You want to be in all my movies?"
Yeah. Like, do you want to change? Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I don't know what like Jay would have done. And I say this repeating what like they say. Like, I don't know what he would have done. He was just like this funny guy. And you go back to the Netflix specials of like how they met. I think they, if memory serves, it's been a while since I've seen these, but like they first met at an arcade, and Kevin was like, not a, he was just like coming into his own as every child is at the arcade, and Jason is like making fun of this joystick, and he starts like going down, like he's sucking the joystick, like the arcade joystick,
Yeah, I get the
like
picture.
he's sucking a dick. And he's like, yeah, he just did this like for 5 full minutes. Like it wouldn't stop, and like just was into the bit, like a Norm Macdonald kind of thing. Just like
Yeah,
sat into it. And he's like, I love this guy. And he's like, who is he? And I was like, I want more of this in my life. And then he's like, then they became best friends immediately.
that's
And so
awesome.
that's how they met. And I was like, that sounds pretty much exactly. You could see that. Like this movie is like a representation of that love letter. If
What a joystick. That's great.
Anyway, last thing I'll say is the Clerks logo is actually made out of letters from food items in magazines. Could appear to be a ransom
Interesting.
letter. So the C is from Cosmopolitan magazine, L is from Life, E is from Rolling Stone, and R is from Ruffles potato chips, K from a Clark bar, and S is from a Goobers box.
Goobers.
So Primer.
Yeah, we're going
What
to
do you got?
Primer now. We're going. Primer is a film directed by Shane Carruth, another first film drop. And we're going lower in budget. We're going $7,000. Price of a used Toyota Camry here. The box the box office is 842,000. So it did pretty good. Not a big hit, obviously. But it is a science fiction film, heavy on the science here, is what I'm talking about. And it's a complex narrative portraying time travel. So Primer follows two engineers, Aaron and Abe, who accidentally discover time travel while working on a side project in their garage. Initially, they use the time machine for small scale experiments and financial gain in the stock market. However, as they delve deeper into the implications of their invention, their lives become increasingly entangled and complicated. As they attempt to manipulate time and alter their own destinies, the narrative becomes increasingly nonlinear and, quite frankly, challenging to follow. The film intentionally avoids spoon feeding the audience, relying on minimal dialogue and complex overlapping timelines to portray the consequences and ethical dilemmas of time travel. That's the film.
Yeah, ethical. Yeah, it was super interesting because like you watch some films from, I don't know, 20 years ago, and then you put it back on and you're like, oh, I've seen this. This wasn't one of them. I was
Oh,
like,
it wasn't.
yeah, I was like, Primer. It sounds, primer. It's like you could have iterations of it in the nomenclature, but I was like, oh yeah, I've probably seen this, right? And then I started watching. I was like, no, I haven't seen this even remotely.
Had
And
you
then
heard of it?
never,
Okay.
never. I knew nothing
Wow.
about it. I knew absolutely nothing about it. I didn't know. I didn't know shit about fuck when I started watching this, and so I put it on, and they're at the table filling some mailings, and I was like, I have no idea what this is. It's fun going into a movie absolutely clueless,
Well, especially this one because
clueless.
well, this, like I said, it's heavy on the science, it's heavy on the technical jargon. So it's kind of keeping the audience, you, at a distance of like what is actually going on with the writing. He didn't want to try and dumb it down. He wanted to try and, because he's an engineer, he's a mathematician, Shane is, and he wanted to feel as real as possible.
Yeah, well,
And for you going,
allegedly,
yeah.
Shane sent this to somebody who knows a lot more than he does about time travel, and was like, "You really fucked this up. Like you did this. This is way wrong."
Well, of course it is. I mean, it's not going to be. It's not going to be correct for making a time loop.
But first of
but
all, who actually knows about time travel? Let's just be honest, though. We can quantify the
Marty,
qualification. Okay, here we go.
Doc Brown. What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
This was going to be one of my. Well, it was considered when we talked about doing a time travel episode. I was
Yeah.
maybe going to pick this, but now that we got the micro budget film, I was like, yeah, I got to do Primer. This is the one. And it's interesting because comparing these two films, like we said, Clerks and Primer. Clerks is heavy on the characters and the dialogue and the writing, um, and this one's more so just on the ideas of what you said earlier. And I like that. I like that. I mean, this is a movie I haven't seen in another 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And I knew what was going on, but this is like still one that it's a puzzle movie. And it's a
I
puzzle
had
box.
uh, 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 I had absolutely no clue what was happening until 30 minutes. I had like no. I used to. I don't know how recent this would have been, but maybe in college, I used to try to like want to guess. Like, oh yeah, I can guess what's gonna be like happening in this movie. This is what's happening. Like blah blah blah. I'm so smart. And like I stopped doing that. I just like watched the goddamn movie, and like just let it be, kind of just be in the moment, opposed to being like thinking about. You're taking yourself out of now, by thinking what is actually happening, or using too much, not too much, but you're using a brain power that could be maybe required to evaluate what's in front of you and
You're
happening.
trying to time travel to the future of what the movie's going to be about, and you don't need to. Just stick right there.
Oh my goodness, here we are. Stephen Rankin can be here for the next 10 minutes. So I had no idea, and I also had like no, like I was just lost, and I was this weird like, this is interesting. No clue what's happening in any capacity. I was like, what are they mailing off? Like that went from
What are
that
the,
to like, what is this protein? What is the ooze? What is it in the
why do they
garage?
look like Mormons?
Why are they? Yeah, well, that was a question. Like, why are they dressed like they are? Why are they in the garage? Why do they need it? Like, what does this machine do? Why are they selling it? And then 30 minutes when you saw double Abe, and I was like, oh, this all makes sense. And it was like instantaneously, I was like, oh, this all makes sense, of what maybe is going to happen. But who knows? Let's see how this works out.
Yeah, I mean, what's the first thing you do if you can figure out that you can time travel? You try and
Make money.
make money, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Either you buy a sports book that can tell you all the scores of the games for the next 50 years, and you give that to your old self, or you manipulate the stock market. That's
Yeah,
what you
because
do.
that's the easiest thing to you're never gonna be insolvent. You're basically just gonna have as much money to do whatever you so please and your heart desires. So I mean, it's I mean, I probably would do exactly that.
Yeah.
In my compliance mind, I can possibly pull off some covering my tracks to ensure that market manipulation is easy.
So I would just
Yeah,
do. I would go the Mega Millions route and just do a one time kind of thing and
I wouldn't,
hit
because
that up.
that's generally public knowledge unless you know what you're doing and create an LLC in advance, of that actually happening. But it's public knowledge. I mean, you can actually be what is it called, anonymous, but like there's steps you have to take. In some
There's
states,
certain states that you
there's some
can't be
states you can't.
anonymous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I wouldn't go that path. I mean, if I'm really thinking about this fulsomely, I would go the stock market path for sure. It's the easiest, I would say.
Yeah. Um, this is one of those movies. It doesn't happen too often for me, but it's one of those movies that after I watch it and think about it for a while, I have to watch a YouTube video to kind of explain some things to me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
just because there is a lot of convoluted timelines and doubles and things like that, and it still doesn't totally make sense, and I think that's the point.
It didn't make sense to
Um,
me either. Yeah,
yeah, and but there is some kind of idea that Shane has where it does make sense in the overall picture of it, which it's like I said, it's a puzzle movie, and it deals with these themes of um, obviously technology and what if we let the genie out of the bottle, is that a good thing? Can we put the genie back in the bottle?
no, there's no. It's like 37 dicks. Once that's out there, you can put it back in the can. But botulism, anytime that it gets open, it's just like you're going to be vomiting for a
Yeah.
lifetime. It's not going to end well. Yeah,
Yeah.
because then you like people think that some people think that we're trustworthy, and we're really not when it comes down to it. We can't even trust ourselves, including in this movie. Like, are you going to be able to trust yourself? You have to start killing. Like,
You have to drug yourself and put yourself in the attic.
what's that?
Uh,
What's that? Is it a movie or TV show where there is like a time travel place where she kills her second or double? God, what is her name? Anyway, I think it's on Netflix, but there's a TV show or movie where basically she kills like it's a version of this, and she has to kill the other part to her.
that sounds dark.
You can't even trust your own self. And
Yeah,
they're going to
and
be
I mean
competing.
it's what I found interesting. This is what Carruth has said he intended the central theme of the film to be: is the breakdown of Abe and Aaron's relationship
Mhm.
as a result of their inability to cope with the power afforded them by this technological advancement. Um, First thing, you see these guys as very scientifically accomplished, but ethically they're morons. And
Yeah,
that's what Shane said. Like, they can think of all these things to, make uh the time travel actually work, and have all these scientific theories and things like that, but they haven't really thought about the moral and ethical implications of what that will do to not only them but to their friendship and to the people around them.
yeah, and the movie starts with not just the two of them. There's a third party involved, and if you include the wife, I guess a fourth, but she's not really in the movie. But like, there is a third party where they're basically the two of them are teaming up from the very beginning, and they're what seems to be a very close knit team, and
But
sticking
they dropped that,
together.
they dropped that third person like a fly, like, oh, he wasn't here with us when we found this
Yeah,
thing
and
out.
we all do this, and eventually, I'm sure I'm going to leave you and hit it big in this podcasting world. You got to
I
cut
feel like you're
our
more of the Kevin
losses.
Smith Kevin Smith type to just kind of like have me cameo a few times here and there, you know.
Red band, basically. No, but I mean, ultimately, they the ethical part immediately was it was abundantly clear that there were issues at hand, and there could easily be issues at hand between the two of them. And I think um, Aaron and Abe were having the discussion of I don't even remember who the third party was, to be honest with you. But Aaron and Abe were discussing. He was like, Aaron was
Another
saying,
Mormon.
you you know that story about how NASA spent millions of dollars developing this pen that writes in zero G? Did you ever read about that? Yeah. You know how the Russians solved the problem? Yeah, they used a pencil. Right. A normal wooden pencil. It just seems like Philip takes the NASA route almost every time, which is funny because I think everyone's heard that story, but the application of it, it's like, oh wow, that's harsh. It's
Yeah.
like that story though is very prevalent in story times around the fintech world. I've only worked at one, well, I guess as a consulting capacity, many more, but in lots of meetings and all hands, as they are called. That story, from an engineering perspective, is it's repeated ad nauseum. It's you're inundated with it, so you know it quite well.
Yeah,
Seems
you
like
know it
everyone
quite
does,
well.
but it's like the application of it is like putting somebody down. Like, they're gonna use all the resources basically to make this work, which is, to be honest with you, kind of my personality from time to time in terms of idiocy. Like, for example, I'll give you a real life example. I have a hose when I'm watering my garden. This isn't a euphemism for 36 or 37. But like, when I water it every morning and afternoon, it sometimes gets stuck on various sections of my backyard because I have furniture as well as a sauna, an umbrella. There's a variety of shit in our yard or the patio. And so it gets stuck. And so, like, an intelligent human being would be like, oh, this pen may not work the best in zero gravity. Why don't you just use a pencil? My reaction is pretty much like old Philip sometimes, where the hose gets stuck, and I'm like, fuck this, fuck it, I'm gonna make it work. And then I'm just like ripping it and like a
Yeah.
lassoing basically. and a very aggressive manner trying to get that hose unstuck. Where if I had a little more patience, I could just go back and gently move it. So
Yeah.
I get the personality. We all have that from time to. Well, maybe we don't. Maybe I'm just the only idiot out here. But
Or
I understood it.
you could buy a little flowering vessel, pot, water vessel. And that's kind of like
Do
the Bluetooth,
you
you know?
do you have one that can hold 50 gallons of water?
Yeah. Yeah. It's out back.
Yeah. Where's out back for you? Because 50 gallons is that's 5 gallons short of a drum of oil, which
It's
is
by, it's my arm
this
day
tall.
when I water the plants.
Is it?
Yeah, that's when I
Is
get
that
my
how you got
workout.
to 173 pounds?
Well, it's debatable. Sometimes it's a little bit
Muscle?
less. Yeah.
So I have 4 containers, of which 3 are 2 gallons, one is 1 gallon, and so I use that. Thank you for asking about my garden. I use the 2 gallon one in the front where I have corn in my front yard, as well as a new tree, which is a pin oak. Thank you also for asking what type of tree it was. And I use the others for downstairs, for indoor plants, and upstairs for indoor plant, and then I use another one for outdoor section on the patio. But I use a hose because I use about 50 gallons, if not more, with 5 garden beds and earth that has potatoes and zucchini and lots of other things such as strawberries, apple trees. I need a bigger container. Should be a quote from I Need a Bigger Boat, but
Which
nonetheless, I
that's coming
digress.
up in a few weeks. Um,
How do you go on from that?
I appreciate it, and that was one of my quotes. The NASA spinning the 0G on the pin,
It's
and
the
this is
best quote.
kind of like also comment on the movie. Like I can make a fucking movie with $7,000. Like yeah, Back to the Future costs 150 million or whatever it was, but I could tell a story with 7,000.
Back to the Future costs 150 million. There's no way.
That's just that. No, it didn't. Let's be
Okay.
real. I just said a number that was high, uh, but it can make you can make a movie for a super low budget, and yeah, it's grainy. Yeah, it's probably like
19.
filming at night is not. It's very. It almost looks like a camcorder recording. But
It
I
did.
thought that the
Yeah.
way the way that they did shoot it, like there was a lot of the camera did pan a lot. Um, the coloring, the saturation of like what the overall like the tone was.
Sepia.
This is very sepia. Yeah, it's kind of had that Gattaca feel to it.
Yeah.
Um, but I thought it was well made for a first time director who acted, directed, wrote, scored the movie. All of those things, like that's incredible to do and to have.
Surprising for 7 grand. I was actually surprised. There's a variety of times like I paused and I was like, "This shit was made for 7,000 in a good way." Like what? And then I start thinking of like, and then you sent me the clip of Kevin Smith talking about if you have this idea and like pretty much what he did, and I was like, you and I have our own idea, which we won't talk about, and I'm like, 7 grand. I can come up with 7 grand. We can come up with 7 grand to like make this movie, but I don't think we could make our movie for 7,000. But well done, like very well done. And do you know how long it took them to actually shoot this? Because
I
I don't
don't know.
know. I
I
don't
didn't look
know.
that up,
Oh,
but
okay.
I do know like the creativity of like I don't know if you remember that one shot, but where they're playing with the small machine that they're kind of testing out, and then the camera pans over and there's a monitor there, and then you
Yeah,
see kind of like the floating
yeah,
things.
yeah.
That was
How do
basically
they do
just like
that?
there was just confetti with a little bit of wind.
Oh
Um,
wow,
but the way that they
that's
made it
terrific.
look was, yeah, you film the camera on the screen, and then you get that effect. So like these little touches, like I think very smart, very. It's a very well made film for somebody that doesn't have the experience or the budget. And there's flaws. I mean, it's a flawed movie for sure, but I think it's one that is good to watch and also a good one to rewatch. Now, I'm not saying like you need to rewatch this, next week, but
Yeah, I
you will
can't.
you will get a little bit more out of it knowing
Yeah,
the
yeah.
setup and what's kind
Of
of going
course.
on and the multiple timelines, which kind of makes it a little bit more enjoyable for me as well. So
No, it's fun, but yeah, ultimately, it's not necessarily a flaw, but uh, I guess to double back on Randall's quote that was listed for, or we played for 2 minutes, of like, shit or get off the pot. I would not. I don't know. Like, death becomes of me if you play this out, like, and I would be okay with that. And it's kind of like I'm just the satisfizer. That's the word I'm looking for between
okay,
romanticizer, satisfizer, and maximizer. I think these are words actually that are utilized from a variety of spectrums, but it's also from like How to Not Die Alone book, which I'm reading. It's about romantic love and this Harvard graduate in relation to her director of product at Hinge and her gleaning of information of people dating. But nonetheless, I'm applying it, as I do with every book I read, to this podcast as they come from time to time. I don't know how I'm doing this. I'm not really never even thinking about it. It just comes to my brain. But the satisfizer of what it's mind numbing for these individuals to be so concerned with like their own mortality or lack thereof. Go out there, and if you guys aren't getting along, go out there and shit or get off the pot. Like, stop recording yourself, listening to yourself, listening to other people. Like, why are you going to repeat the same rubric of life that's already existed? Like, to me, that's boring. It's very boring. I would
well, I
never want to
think
do this again. And I
I
would
think
just I would go and do, and this isn't even my personality, but I would do like half of like Dan Bilzerian, like just do something outrageous. Not the women side of things, but like just fucking go do something insane. To go, I don't know what it is, whatever it might be. You have all the money in the world to do whatever you so choose, and you're deciding that, or you could have, and you're deciding that you're gonna go spy on your friend with film or like a recording that you made previously. Get the fuck out of here. How numb is that?
there's a reason for that, and I feel like it's because they lose trust in each other
I
because
know
there's
that, but who
well
gives a
there
shit? Go on with your lives.
well because there's a failsafe, and that
I get it.
failsafe,
That's what I'm saying, but the mortality or lack thereof. That's why I started with it. That was
right?
the caveat. Like, you're going to continue going down this loop of
Yeah, it's a
being
loop.
concerned. Fuck the loop. Get out. See what happens. Even if it's for a
I,
day, do it.
do it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I appreciate that. Like, I think that the the film leaves those questions open. Like we find Aaron leaving and going to Europe, I think, and he's basically
yeah,
building a farm of these
yeah,
boxes, or a one big box. I don't know, and I don't know what he's going to do with that, but he's basically leaving his friends and family to keep pursuing this weird, time loop.
yeah, yeah.
Um, it's sad almost, because
It's
it's
sad
like
for sure. It's sad.
he's lost in it. He's lost. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a fun first watch. I still can't believe 7 grand did this. It makes me happy. Not the word. It makes me feel excited about the future of what is the potential for a film if I were to even get involved with it with you.
Well, you can even do it for cheap. I mean, not cheaper than
Now
seven
cheaper,
seven
yeah.
grand, but they're spending money on film stock. This was filmed on 16 millimeter, or whatever, but you can film on a phone. Like Steven Soderbergh filmed a few movies just on an iPhone. Like,
Which is the expense of this movie is that film stock.
film stock, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, their location is a garage and a field and a hotel room, like, and their friends. Their friends did it.
Yeah. It's cool though. The time to write a script though. How are we gonna find it? I don't know.
I can find the time. Got
Can
the
you? You can
yeah,
always find the time.
got the book right here.
Having a book is different than reading it and then applying it. I yeah, oftentimes that I read Mikkel, Mikel Csikszentmihalyi, Flow, and then he has a secondary book that came like 7 years later, I think, called Finding Flow. And I read every book there is imaginable about flow and the application of just how to work better and be happier, and basically sporting wise, it's really how I read it at the beginning, and then I reread everything recently because of Worlds coming up. But he has very fascinating points on time. I have the same idea of like when I often tell people like what I do, like, well, how do you have time to do that? Like, I hear that so much. It's like, it's so delusional. Like, you just spend your time wasting it, basically. Not you, but like people have a significant amount of time on their hands. And what you do with it is up to you, of course. But like, if you actually plan and prioritize and make a system of your life, it's fairly easy to get things like, I don't know, any hobby you have, you can pretty much do that hobby, including us. Even now, we could find the time if we wanted to. It's just the effort in writing is difficult. It's tough to start. I myself, I wrote a 105-page book, Maidenhair, and I haven't touched it in like 8 or 9 months, probably.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I haven't touched it at all, which is sad. I'm putting myself accountable just as you are when you're sending me your 4 mile runs. This is what we do. We have to make it. We have to
That's
tell
one of the
somebody
things,
else to make you accountable for it.
and that's one of the things you like kind of said a few weeks ago when, I like sometimes I'll be bored and I'll just, play a game or watch a movie or something like that. It's like, if you're bored, just go for a run, because I was trying to say like, I need to start running more.
Yeah.
And I find myself, so that's what I've been doing. I've just been lacing up my shoes, like 30 minutes, let's go. Doesn't matter how fast I go, whatever.
You are always in 7:30 shape, it appears.
Yeah. I don't know what that's about, but
speaking of, I have a run after this, and I have my first mile. Very strange track meet, by the way. Getting off topic from movies.
It's a mile down the street.
I signed up for a 1500 in New Jersey. It's like the US ATF Club Nationals, I think. I don't know what it is. And it's a combination with like a high school track meet, but they run at the same time. Signed up for the 1500, then they changed it to a 1600, which I've never heard of. This is in high school. And then they changed it to a mile where we're going to be running against high schoolers. So I signed up for 1500. Now I'm running a mile. I don't know how this happened, but
you better not let any fucking snot-nosed 17-year-old beat you.
Do you know the national record for 5K in high school now is 13:25?
Holy shit.
Yeah. And do you know what high schoolers are running now? They're running like to break 4 minutes is not easy.
Oh, it's a normal thing?
It's a normal thing every year.
Man.
So
that's wild. Once you let that genie out of the bottle,
botulism exists. But anyway, I do have to run after this, so I'm excited about that. So why don't we get to our scoring?
Okay, sure.
Unless you have some more tidbits. I don't have anything.
No, I think I kind of punched on everything that I wanted to. I know that Shane Carruth made a follow-up. He's only made one other film, done a few other writing projects and things like that, but I think he's canceled now, so we're not going to see much of him.
Is he? Why? What did he do?
I think it was domestic abuse, something shitty. Yeah.
Oh.
So.
Oh. Somebody's here clearly cutting my lawn.
So you don't do all the gardening.
That's not a garden.
Someone would say it is.
The grass?
Yeah.
They cut it. That's it.
All right. I'm going to probably cut this out. But yeah, Shane Carruth is canceled.
Oh, that's terrible. First of all.
Yeah. So, but I want to check out his second film. I hear it's pretty well received. So, anyways, let's get to ratings.
Okay.
All right. So I'll go first on Primer since you went first on the description of Clerks.
Sure.
So again, this is a hard film to rate because I appreciate the film and the way that it was shot for such a low budget and first time director. I'll say all of that first. But this is not This is not a Steven Spielberg, Quentin Tarantino kind of movie. There's going to be some low scores on here. Probably I gave it a little bit better than what it should, but I said the best performance is a 70. Um, it's very just middle of the road for me. Like I said, it's very hard to distinguish who's who, especially at the beginning, and there's not too much character arcs or character that are drawn out of these actual actors. So 70.
I mean, I thought they did well in the context of their performance. I gave them an 80, but like I thought they actually did much better than you were providing here, because they're not actors. I mean, they are on the screen, but they're not actors, in my opinion, and that's very similar to Clerks.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's true. As far as best quote, I liked a few of those. Obviously, the zero G pen was one, but that's been talked about a lot. I liked what's worse, thinking you're paranoid or knowing you should be, and the other one was, man, are you hungry? I haven't eaten since later this afternoon.
Yeah.
A little
Yeah.
creative, whatever. But yeah, I mean, a lot of technical jargon in this film, so there's not a plethora of great quotes to choose from. What did you pick?
I mean, if you're like, most people are scared of what they don't know. So like, what is more frightening is what you don't know, not what you do know. So that quote, the second quote, is not as frightening, I guess, or poignant to me. The quote I gave, so performance, I gave an 80. The best quote I gave a 75. I did like the NASA quote. There weren't a lot of quotes to pick from, to be honest. Like, whereas like there's 7,000 in Clerks, there wasn't a whole lot, because there wasn't a lot of dialogue to even have a
Yeah,
quote. So I gave it a 75.
same 75 for quote score. I thought the score was good for him doing it all, one man show. I thought it was quite good. I gave it an 80.
I gave it an 85. I actually like the feeling. Again, if it sets a nice feeling, no matter if it's cheaply made or just I go with feeling and more of like my gut intrinsic value. But I gave it an
Yeah.
85. I liked it.
Editing, I thought the editing was actually done really well. It was one of the strengths in the movie. I give it an 85. Or I get an 80. Give it 80. Sorry.
I gave it an 80 as well.
And then moving to screenplay writing. Again, a very puzzle box kind of movie. I wouldn't say like the writing was
On the wall?
on the wall. It was in the
Ah.
box. Uh, but I think writing a story like this is very creative. Having the ideas is very creative. So I give it an 80.
Yeah, I'm 80s from here on out. And so the screenplay writing, I actually thought was like, it's a really good idea, but there wasn't a lot of dialogue, discussion,
Yeah.
stuff going on, and directing 80. And I think primarily most of this is in reference to them just having at it for the first time. So I give
Yeah.
them probably a higher score than I would, but which I guess defeats my objective evaluation.
There's always
for
going to
this.
be nuance. There's nuance in
Yeah.
everything. So
Yeah.
let's go to Clerks.
I'll go first. Performance, again, I've already said this, and this is the lowest score of any of the items here, and I gave it an 80. And I think I've already explained why. Nobody's a good actor in this. Let's be honest. It's 100% certainty that nobody actually is going to, and has won anything of any capacity. For the majority of the reason being that they're not good actors. Well, I shouldn't say they're not excellent actors.
They're not needed to be, though. It's not
I
called
get that.
upon.
I'm not saying that. I'm not. So you're providing the and part. I'm not providing the and part. I'm just saying they're not good actors. It's clear, but that script crushed. That script made it seem like they are better actors than they are.
Yeah, I give it an 80 as well for best performance. I don't know who I would give the best performance. Maybe Randall. Yeah, but
Yeah.
Best quote. What do you got?
And then from here on out, the movie became this scored very nicely in Kevin Smith's favor. Quote 98. That's one again. It's one of my favorite of all time. Maybe I should have given this a 99, but in the similar vein to Sideways, it's a 98. I just love it. That quote. And all the other quotes, but that I'm only really talking about that one single quote.
The
But
conversation between.
there's so many to choose from.
Yeah, I gave this a 95. I haven't ventured into the 97s and 98s territory, just because I completely forgot about it. But 95 for me, it was the one that, there's a million fine looking women in the world, dude, but they don't all bring you lasagna at work. Most of them just cheat on you. And
That's your favorite quote from the whole movie?
That's Silent Bob no longer being silent. That's true, man. It's true. I don't want to take the same quote you took. Come on.
If you had chosen that quote, I would still choose the quote because it's my favorite. I couldn't care less about your decision. Whatever is my favorite is my favorite.
Yeah, I gotcha. But this one just stuck out to me, and I like it.
I mean, I like it.
So there you go.
Yeah, just whatever. Score 85, fantastic at times. Really set the mood. I really, really enjoyed it. Sorry, 90. I give it a 90. I don't know why it's reading.
It's a 90s time capsule for sure. We get a little bit of Russian death metal and things like that. It didn't hit me as anything spectacular. This is the only low score that I gave for this movie. It was a 75.
That's crazy. The baseline is so consistent throughout. The editing 95, loved it. Love every bit on the rest of this part of the movie.
Editing 80. I thought it was solid. Thought it was good. Nothing bad about it.
Your scores have changed drastically in such a weird way that I don't even think you understand what you're doing.
I do up here.
I know that it doesn't show. 99 screenplay. This is probably one of the best screenplays I've ever seen in a movie. Very similar to Sideways. Very well structured. Some of the best dialogue I've ever seen.
Cool. 95 for me. I agree with you on this.
Best directing 90. I just think overall everything comes together well.
Yeah, cool. My total score was an 84. I like this movie a lot. And there was some definitely big highlights for me on it as well.
Yeah, I gave it a 90 and then 80 for 90.1 and then 80 for Primer. I actually looked over the list of the entirety of our scores. You're generally a very gray vanilla, putting things evenly distributed for all movies except for the Holdovers.
Interesting.
You don't get excited about pretty much any movie almost.
Oh, that's not true.
If you compare my score to yours in particular, I'm almost always scoring higher than yours.
I wonder why that is.
I'm a excitable person, whereas I think you're more of the plain vanilla.
That you can think what you want to think, but
guys, I just think the score is, this is what it is.
That's unfair. That's not me.
I'm bombastic. Remember, this is
you should run for president.
This is what we. I did not have sexual relations.
You had 36 though. 36.
I like cheese balls though. Cheese balls are so good. Oh my god, delectable. All right, I have a call in 3 minutes, so this is perfect timing.
Fantastic. What are we doing? What are we doing next week? What's the plan?
4th of July? No, wait. 4th of July movies. That's right. Yeah, we're making it. I don't know how advanced we have to do these, but Jaws versus Independence Day. I'm just now watching Jaws again, and Sonia, my wife, hasn't seen this in forever. She's like addicted. She's like, we gotta keep going. I'm saying too much, so we can't go to sleep now. Can't do we? We gotta stay up. I was like, it's 9, and I wake up at like 4:30 now.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Till then, I'm excited. We are on Scene Weekly at Scene Weekly. That's our @. Follow us. We'll see you next week.
Time for a run. Goodbye.